Hello there. Hello there. In this video, we will see how to create loading animations in WPF. So what I will do first, I will search some good looking loading animations from the internet, and we will finalize on some of the choices or options, or let's say references. And after we do that, we will straight away jump into creating the animation. And so this is one thing. So here we could see that we have some videos. So basically we have a kind of like a bigger circle, and the trailing circles are all very small, and this is the typical one. Everything is of same size, but when we move forward, the trailing ones gradually, how do I say, gradually they change the opacity. So we have two choices here. I think this two will make up. So first and foremost step, let me open that image here. To achieve something like this, we have already seen another video in our same channel about creating double animation. So here as well, we will try to use some double animations. But to achieve this, we could look at it in two ways. Like we have all our ellipses in the place wherever we need them, and based upon the time, we just change only the opacity. Like the opacity at beginning here is 1, and the remaining places are heavily. Let's just take an example at this picture itself. The point where my mouse is showing, oops, okay, at your 9 o'clock, the opacity of the ellipse is 1, whereas at your 12 o'clock, the opacity is almost 10% or 5%. So, and the opacity gradually increases. So, to achieve this, we need ellipses at place. So, that's the first step. I will start creating the ellipses. So what I will do now, creating the ellipses and then adjusting the opacity, everything will take a long time. So to save some time there, I'm going to just fast forward everything. So in case you want to look at the code, you can go to the description and take the code from there, or else you want to see how I'm writing it, you can just follow it up. But either way, in this section I will directly start writing the code to create the ellipses in places. Wherever I have some information to specify, I will stop it and then I will speak. Okay, let's go. This equal to 200. Okay, so now what I will do, I'll create a content control whose content control dot style target type is content control. Actually, we will not be doing this. The reason why I'm doing this, if I'm going to apply style to the grid, I will not be able to refer the named controls. Like I cannot reach this ellipse, so I will do a content control so that we can use the data template triggers to easily access them. That's the reason why I'm doing it like this. So I can take a grid here. I'll just copy it at the same time, comment it out, and put them inside the data grid. Now we have something like this. Now it will be easy for me to apply data template triggers. And now I will apply a trigger which will be able to, since it is a data template, I should be able to access the X name property E18, E17 and everything, and then I will be able to change their colors. So what I will do, we will set a storyboard. Before that, we have several triggers: data trigger, trigger, multi-trigger, event trigger. So let's take event trigger. Event name is loader. Whenever this event is loaded, you're going to begin a storyboard, and this is my storyboard. First I will apply a couple of animations. Let's see, first animation would be, let's start with a double animation without the keyframes. Double animation, and this double animation target, so basically to locate the target we need the attached property which is storyboard.target. So storyboard.target name EL8. So actually we will be doing everything from the code beginning because it will be easy because, since we have 12 ellipses, it's not feasible to change the values through the storyboard. It will be more reasonable to do that from the code behind, but as of now I'm going to try to show one or two examples using double animation and double animation keyframe from the storyboard so that we understand how it works, and then we will go back in the code behind and we will do it. So for this EL8 and for this target name opacity, okay, we already have target name. This is target property. So the EL8's property change from 0.0 to 1.0, and the duration should be, let's say 0 is to 0. That is hour, minutes and seconds. Take 2 seconds to change the opacity from 0 to 1. Let's run this and see. It should take 2 seconds to 3 seconds to reach there. Did you see this one? So it took 3 seconds. Now this is only once, but if I apply one more property, like, why am I seeing this? Okay. Okay, so now let me open it up. If I apply this double animation, I have like a repeat behavior is forever. So it should happen again and again and again. But now when the animation is loaded, let's start and start it. So it should take 3 seconds. Yes, done. 3 seconds, done. So basically we are now able to change it with the timing. Not only this, we can also do one more animation, which is instead of opacity, I will say the width should go from let's say whatever is the width. So current width, I think we are using 30, right? So 30 to 10. Let's say we move from 30 to 10, and the duration is, let's say, let's start with, this should also reverse. To reverse is equal to true, so that we have this effect of it is turning the opacity from 0 to 1, and then after it has turned in, it will then while during the reverse it should change the size. So we will change it to 6 seconds, and right should change from 30 to 10 forever, and 30 to 5 will make more sense. Then we will see the difference. Maybe 4 seconds. And height, let's see, let's not make it 30 to 5, let's make it 5 to 30, so we know that it is growing. And 5 to 30, Mm, 3 seconds, and let us also auto reverse it. Okay, let's see how it goes. Now there is this problem, even though it grows, it is growing from the top left to top left. That's not something that we need. We need that to grow from center point. So how do we identify that? We need to say render transform origin is 0.5 comma 0.5. So basically it's kind of like a rectangle with 1 on each side, square with 1 on each side. 0 comma 0 is the left top, 1 comma 1 is the bottom right. So 0.5 comma 0.5 is obviously the center. So now it should grow far. No, it's not happening. Render transform origin. And let's see. Let's go to the properties of this ellipse. Transform. What is this? 0.5 comma 0.5. So where is this coming from? Let's say this is wrong. Okay, so I understood why it happens, because we have this margin of 12 and 27, whatever it is. Like when we change the horizontal and the vertical sizes, we get the margin to be attached to the same new ellipse also has the same margin and same horizontal and vertical alignment, and it doesn't matter whatever we keep the render origin, our circle is still going to be like that. We can still think of a workaround, like we can create a grid, put it inside a grid, and the grid will hold this locations, and ellipse will just be at the center of the grid. That will make sense. But that means that we need to create a grid. Let me remove it, go back to the code like this, and this grid will contain. Okay, let us remove all this ellipse transforms, including this render transform, and our grid will contain the row, horizontal alignment, margin, everything. The size of our grid will be, height is 30, width is 30, but our ellipse will just be at the center. Let's try now. So now the ellipse should be at the center, and it should grow from the center and go down on the center of it. So I'll quickly do this everywhere. So basically we need to have a grid and put the ellipse inside the grid. There's more work. Let's now try to move whatever we have done and we have visually seen into a separate user control. And then from this main window, let us create some kind of text box and a button. So when we click the button, our user control should become the main content. So it's basically it should hide whatever we have in our main control, main window, and then show our loading animation. So to do that, I will now create a new user control and then move whatever we did that into that place. Now it is a very important part here. So we know that we have around 12 ellipses. So for each ellipse, what we are going to do is we are going to find the target. So basically, since we are already inside the user control, we should have the property, or sorry, the method called as find name. So this dot find name. When you give the name, we will be able to get that element. So we know that all our element names are like EL1, EL2, EL3. So with this integer value from 0 to 12, we are now able to find the element name, and with this find name method we should be able to fetch our element from there. And we know for a fact that this is an ellipse, so we can just directly cast it as an ellipse, and after that we can do whatever we want to that particular ellipse. We can change the color, we can change the opacity. So this method is this is a straightforward way which we will use for fetching the elements and then changing the properties throughout this video. So this is very important, so just pay attention here. So we have a generic way of fetching them and applying any action. It could be anything. It could be circle theme, shadow, turning off. And now likewise we also apply for animations. So apply action for each ellipse, whatever it is, width, each ellipse, add an animation. Now is this sufficient enough? No, this is not sufficient enough because we are only getting the ellipse here, right? But we also need to know what is the number. We can even go ahead with the ellipse name, but we need this particular number I value so that we can rotate or do the animation from 0 to 1. So this is not only the ellipse, we should also get the location. So what I will do, this will not only take this but also will take another integer, and this integer will be nothing but the location I, and this one I'll just say I. So target comma I, but we don't need a target comma I here, but here we need it. Yes, so now we know like what is the I value, like whether we are at 0 or whether we are at 1, we can now get it there. So what we will do, we'll first get the opacity. So before that we'll set all opacity to 0.0, so it is by default empty, and go back here, the code. We should now get the targets. So basically if we take a look at this, go here. If you take a look at this, on first point, let me open this. Wait. If you take a look at these animations, see when this goes at top, here we are only dealing with the sizes, like the size increases from one point to another. So basically, this is instead of dealing with the opacity, we are dealing with the sizes. Sizes are all 0, and like this one is the full size, and the opposite exact one is the smaller size. So gradually we are increasing the size and we are doing it. But if you take a look at here we are dealing with the opacity. So the first one is opacity 1, and the previous 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 or whatever it is. So from your current point, the previous ones should reduce gradually. So here let's say we start with 0 here. Okay, so we start with the target is 0. So we need to find how many we are going to deal with. Let's say we deal with 1 2 3 4 5 items at a time. So we need to get whatever this one and the previous one. So it's like EL 0 means we need to get. So let's say if we are at EL 0, we need EL 0, EL 11, 10, 9, 8. If we are here at EL 0 1 2 3 4 5 6, EL 6, then we need EL 1 to 6 with the 6 as the top, and with the reverse we will change the value. So that's what we need. So that's what we are going to figure out. So we need a method to find it. So let's call that method as get targets. So we need a method which will take the integer, like what is the current one and what is the total number of elements. We already know the total number of elements, which is basically 12, so we don't need that. And I think that's more than enough. Just let us create this one. Try by targets. Die. Okay. This one will not only give us the, it's not a void, basically we are expecting some kind of return, right? So the return should be a dictionary which will take an integer. Integer is nothing but your all your values and their corresponding double is nothing but double is what? Double is nothing but your opacity. So we will get this one. Okay, so it should give me a dictionary, and we have 11, right? So we have 11 ellipse. I'm sorry, we have 12 ellipse, and for each ellipse, what is the opacity value? And is it sufficient enough? No. Let me go to the video again. You see, at 0.08, we have this one at 1, and let's say this is 0, right? For us, 0 is at some opacity, and after some time 0 is a different value. So we not only need these things like the opacity value, we also should need some kind of a time. So we already have a time here, which is key time property, which is inbuilt. So let's give it like this. It should give us opacity, and it should also give us key time. So that we will finalize later. So we need to have something like this. This is our main calculation. So dictionary. So we have 12 ellipses, right? So whatever it is, we always will have 12 ellipses. So we need to then find a way of getting those values. Okay, so we have said how many numbers we need. Here one more thing is required. We need uh, target counts maybe, or like supporting or trailing count. So how many we need? Let's say we need 5%. This we can deal later. So we have like one main ellipse where opacity is 1.0 and other trailing where we gradually decrease. Okay, so this is our idea. So how do we do this? Dictionary of integer and double key time result is equal to new dictionary cross, and finally we will return result. Now in between we need one more thing. We need to get the time. So at present let us just deal with there are so many ways of doing this. Like we can say like I know that when my iteration is at 0, then my time is at 0 because iteration is at 0. When my iteration is at 6, then like from 0 to 6 I will take like 6 again. So I know like based upon where my iteration is, like the I values, I can identify my time. So let's do that from outside. Get time based upon the iteration current target. But currently let us just not worry about timing anything. We will just paste them out. So there is an option called paste. We have different options: paste, uniform. So let's get paste. Paste means like whatever the time is, it will be equally shared. So let's do that. So we have time is equal to get time. So let's not deal about the time here. So first thing first, the main time. Okay, let's do the time. Time is equal to get time for I. Actually it should be like for I or the current target we get the time, and for each of the previous ones like I minus 1, I minus 2 until I minus 5 we should be getting that. But what I'm thinking is since it is paced currently, we don't want to deal with anything. uh, let's just keep it as it is. Let's keep everything as paced. So we need somehow to result.add iteration and iteration. iteration, and then we have double value. Opacity is 1.0, of course. The first one is 2.0. And Okay, so we are actually, is it correct? For keep time 0, value is 0, and then we have this one. Okay, anyhow, create an infrastructure class, and this is all for 1, and we're having for 2 and 3 and 4, and let's just use the breakpoints. And why is it not running? It is running, but it is not running again. So loading board, loading storyboard data. Repeat is equal to repeat dot forever. So we just repeat it forever. Let's see. Okay. Something is wrong here. Paste, and let's change this. So we get silly mistake. No. Find out frames. I think here we should have time dot uniform. Let's just keep and so we have paste. Get the paste value which creates time behavior constant rate. Divides a lot of time. Okay, so So I'm not able to click anywhere, but once this animation is stopped, that's it. So just one second, let's see. Okay, so on top of this, if I'm to add a height and width, let's say, how do I do that? Animation frames. Now let us reuse the animation that we have done for our opacity and use the same methods and prepare a new animation now for height and width. So it's same because opacity is also a double value which ranges from 0.0 to 1.0, and width and height are also double values. So it's straightforward. We can directly use whatever we have done before, and then we will be able to do it. The only difference will be the get targets opacity method, which is where we are getting the items and then we are changing the opacity. Now we need to do it for the height and width, basically the size. So that's what we are going to do now. Let's remove the breakpoints and see what's happening. Oh, where are you? Here you are. Whoa, 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 whoa. Stop. So let's say maximum step is 8 or okay 6, and let's say the duration is 10. Let's go slow. Something is wrong. It's going in the opposite direction. It's reducing and again it's increasing. It's reducing and again it's increasing. See, I'm going here one by one, and each time I go, I think I am here somewhere. And see whether our other animation is working, opacity animation is working without any issue. So properties, ellipse property and opacity property, and let us just remove this, see if we are able to get that one right. Okay, so max step is 10. I found out where the issue was happening, but before that let me show. So this is the problem for us, let me stop this and say maximum step is 7 and duration is 5 seconds, so we will be seeing it slow. You see, when one item is moving forward, in the trailing end the other items are reducing, let's say 15-20 seconds, so that it will be very slow. Just take a look. We here when the follow my mouse, so when the other items are going, just look at the trailing end. It reduces and immediately it increases. So what's happening is it reaches the end value and again it tries to go up, or it again tries to go to the default value. So what's the point? So the point is the default value is wrong. So to do that, we already have here in the default value which is 30. Let's make it as 2, or let's make it as 1. So and see how it goes. First thing, so basically the default value, when you reach there, you are going to go back to, okay, again we have the problem. Now let's try to figure it again. 8, and let's say that goes for 12 seconds, and you come here, and then in the opposite also you are finding some other values getting started. So let it be there. So 1 is fine. So now the thing is the other values are also getting increased for some reason. So so what's happening is when we change this value, let's see once more if we have any issues there. Okay, we are now little bit okay, because we don't have the two values. Did you notice? Because before we were having 30 something, and because of that it was starting up in two places. If I go ahead and see here comes, and the trading also is going back. It's trying to go down and immediately it tries to go up. So now let's reduce that to 1. So now that is solved. And we would have one more issue, but first let me try to resolve that. The next issue is, before even we reach the front point, we still have some kind of okay, here's the issue. The point when we reached at this level, everything is again showing up. Everything is like turning on. So that is one issue. So let us resolve that issue. That is very simple. Starting value should be, the opacity of the starting value is 0. Let's try now once more. Okay, now this is much better. So it goes there, goes there, goes there. Still there is one more issue. If you notice, this is like okay, let me stop here. Keep here. So we could see that when this is opening up, the second item immediately starts up. You see, the and there is one more major issue here. Maybe it's not visible right away. This could be seen if we deal here. You see, when I change my thickness to 10 comma 10, I could see that the points are going here. So what's happening is we have put everything inside a grid before, but the grid itself is not having a size. So because of that, the grid size is adjusted. So I have already added this. So basically, I'm having the grid itself. I'm applying the size. The moment I apply it, then this becomes like this. So it doesn't matter now whether we give 30 or whatever it is. Then our sizes will be, when it is increasing, we will have a feel that it is increasing or decreasing from the current position. So let's do it 8 comma 10 again and see. So we start here, and second one starts, and third one starts, and fourth. So basically what's happening is, when the new one starts, it is taking time to load, and that's the reason why everything is taking. So now to resolve that, first let us move this to 0, and let us did we change this to 1.0? Yeah, we changed this to 1.0. And let us also make this 1.0 and 1.0 and save this, and let's run. So now by now we should have let's directly run this. Tick. So that's, there we go. So we are now working out. And I noticed some issue at the end. It is taking some kind of quick something, but that's okay. Now there is one interesting factor to be noted, which is the keyframe itself. While creating the keyframe, we have the option to create linear double keyframe. Linear is basically from one value to another value. Let's say the first value is 0 and the second value is 10. It will slowly increase. That's what linear is all about. And now we need to have some kind we need to have some kind of identification to know whether we need linear or we need a different kind of animation. So let's add an enum here, class comma keyframe double keyframe type. So let's keep internal enum. Let's keep this enum type as linear, or else discrete. Okay, we might have different values, but I just want to keep it the enum. That's the reason why I'm adding it there. And let's have it here, keyframe type, or double keyframe type, uh, keyframe type is equal to the default one is double keyframe dot linear. So let's switch it here. If kf, let's switch it. Switch. So is it coming from something? Is it? It's coming from. It should come from something, right? So the keyframe itself should come from double keyframe. So let's have double keyframe kf. Then let's remove this and switch kf type and case kf type dot linear break case discrete. Discrete, what it does is it will not increase it slowly, but instead it will directly increase it immediately. So now what happens? Kf is equal to null, because we cannot you directly assign value to a the uninitiated or unassigned one. Discrete keyframe, discrete double keyframe. So what happens, the value will be immediately changed. That's the difference here. Let's do something. We have opacity frames, right? So let the opacity be changing slowly so that we have that animation. But for this animation size, let us change it to double kf type dot discrete. So now we should immediately see them, not one step at a time. So we will have some kind of tuck 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 tuck. There we go. So let's keep the step as 8 and duration as 3 seconds, and let's see. Okay, so now there is the issue. When we reach the end, you are taking some time to start the next one. So basically the last value is should not have paste. The last value should have uniform. Where is the keyframe? We are creating the keyframe with uniform, and here as well uniform. So let us try something now. Let's go to, where is the get keyframe? Get time something. Get time, get time, get time, get time, get time. Instead of paste, let us try to give uniform so that all the values are uniformly distributed. So let's see if this works out. Now it reaches and it stops. So you see, it reaches at some point and then it stops. Where are we stopping? Let's go back to our application, and we have our values of 2 E936 10 11. Did we have anything else? Like how many values do we have? We have up to E. Oh, this is 4. It's not 14. I'm confused. So we are sure. Are we sure we have only 12? Let's make the. Let's make the value 1, and this one has 10 10. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Holy cow, we have 12. That's one of the major issues. Okay, so we have 12, and this one is 0 0.0. Luckily for us, everything is properly set up. So we need to change the value 12 in only one place, which is in your properties. Max position is 12. Basically we are changing from 0 to 12. And did we hard code it somewhere? I hope we did not hard code anywhere. I was very keen to not hard code it. Did I hope I did not hard code anywhere. So then it should be fine. So now we should start from 0 to 12, and then we will again tick 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 tick. Okay, now if we need to give paste, so let's give get key as paste, get get time and space, because the reason why we don't need uniform is when we reach the 12 we will then have little bit space for 12, and then we will again start with 0. But in our case it should be paced, so the minus value to the so the minimum value to the maximum value should not have any, like when you reach the other end, your next animation should start immediately. That's why we have that. And also we are using discrete animation for this one. Tuck, 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 tuck. Let's say 8 steps and duration is 3 seconds. 8 steps, or let's say duration is only 1 second. Let's keep duration as 2 seconds. Okay, I think this is fine, even though we don't have this whole continuity, but we have somewhat achieved whatever we needed. We are moving the animation, and at the same time we are doing this. Now let me do something else. If you don't want this second animation, which is your here, so let's see, let's control it with the property uh, prop bool. Let's say ignore size animation. One animation, if you ignore the other animation, should be activated. No, you don't need to complicate things. Ignore opacity animation. Okay, so both should be false at first. Ignore opacity animation is equal to anyhow, if you don't set value it is already false. But let's get down here, and this is the target opacity. If not, ignore opacity animation. If you don't ignore the opacity, then run this. Okay, if not ignore size animation, then animate your size. So basically we are now animating this and that based upon some property, and then this property we need to set from somewhere. So let's go to our main window, and here we will add a few more properties. What do I say? Checkbox content is um, ignore opacity animation. Checkbox content ignore size animation. So we should have two now, but why am I not seeing it? Okay, because it's here. Cut it out and put them inside here. Okay, so let's put some size of margin is equal to 5, and let's put the margin everywhere. Margin, 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 and this one X name C box ignore opacity. X name C box ignore size. And the moment you click start all, which should go here, then okay, there you go. Ignore size animation is equal to check C box checkbox ignore size, so it's false. ignore opacity is equal to C box, ignore opacity, dot is checked. Dot is checked. I think this is a null value, right? Bool, it's a nullable bool, so dot value. Let's begin. So by default, none of them is ignored, so we should have it. Stop, ignore size animation. You know what? When you ignore the size animation, what happens is your loading control itself doesn't have the height and then um opacity values set here. So because of that, we get this issue. So how do we control it? You know what? I'm not going to think much at this point to control it. But if I'm to set this style property, resource dictionary style, then I need to have a named style. If this is a named resource, then I can set the values from code began. But it is getting too much complicated. So let's not deal with that now. At this point, what we need to know is you can ignore opacity. Then if you ignore opacity, opacity is always at 0, so you cannot ignore anything now, so you need to have them both in here. But you can do something. If you want to deal only with this, you can set the size to 30 comma 30 and opacity to, let the opacity be there, it doesn't matter at all. And ignore size animation and click. There we go. So this is the default animation that we achieved before, and then the second animation is when you do not ignore your size animation. So you go and then you also move on with your size, and let's give 6 steps and duration is 2 seconds and click me. Perfect. Let's ignore size. Perfect. Okay, so let's recap quickly. So first what I did, I tried to arrange the ellipses in different places to make sure that they are in the right place. Then what I did, I was setting it up in a content control block so that I can do some direct value application. So like I can directly apply the storyboard animation like this. But applying storyboard for like 12 items and controlling all the colors from the XAML will be very huge. So it's so easy to create them from the code behind so that you can just tweak the values and you know what's happening there. And we just name them EL9, EL0 to 12, and from the code behind, it's pretty straightforward. If you take a look at here, you see you need to first get the target name. Based upon the position, we are getting the target name, and then you get the target opacities. So keyframe animation and setting the target are all straightforward, it's very easy. The most difficult part is getting the target, so you need to have, so we created an algorithm like this based upon one particular step. Let's say like the position is like the step, or you can even call this position as the key point. We have like 8 key points, like at 8 key point, like a point. If you have watched our previous video on double animation, you would see that we use keyframes using blend. Then we will have different key points along the animation. So this is like position is like each key point. At a particular key point, what is the value? So we are just trying to prepare some kind of calculation here, and so that's it. So if you follow this through, and source code is also, you can find it from the description, then you should be able to understand how it goes. Thank you for watching this video.